Hello everyone, and now welcome to Game 3. Wait, nope, this is not Game 3. This is going to be a bonus match between Acer's Nurchio and Daishi. Yes, if you guys are looking for a Game 3 between LZ and Goody, there is no Game 3. LZ was actually able to take the best of 3 in 2 games, but then again, I decided to give you guys a third game anyway and mark it as a spoiler game. So if you guys are looking for Game 3, I apologize. Game 1, or a game between Acer's Nurchio and Daishi, here on a map that's titled ABC. I was trying to look for the name. I was unable to find it, but I'm sure very, very observant players will be able to leave it in the comments for me, as I do need to get other things taken care of. All right, so a lot of talk here between Daishi and Nurchio already, as Daishi spawns as the yellow Terran player here at what I'll call the 4 o'clock position. Acer's Nurchio spawning as the red Zerg here at the 9 or 10 o'clock position. Now, taking a look at the map itself, starting location, double high ground that leads to a natural expansion here. Natural expansion pretty well protected. You can see that there is no cliffing possible whatsoever. Now, coming back around Nurchio, there is a third expansion that is away from your opponent, and then there's also a little bit more of a greedy expansion here. This expansion only has 6 mineral patches, and if you can also place on a planetary fortress here as a Terran player, that is very, very strong. Normally, Zerg players will be moving off to this location instead, as we are already seeing Nurchio setting up, I believe, a 15 or 16 hatchery at the 8 o'clock position. Now, overlords are already moving into positions across the map, making sure to not get shot down. We can take a look at Daishi. Daishi setting up a barracks here on the front door. Perhaps we'll be setting up a supply depot as well. Nope, it looks as though he is going to be going into a command center after barracks, a 1-racks expand. Very, very common strategy as of late. And the perfect answer to Nurchio's hatchery first and then going into a spawning pool. Now, Zerg players at this point, they could try to be extra greedy and then try to take up a third base, but most Zerg players won't do that at this stage in the meta game. Knowing that a proxy 2-racks could be somewhere around the corner, they want to have enough units and enough Zerglings spawning pools and just enough area of coverage to deal with that very, very easily. Marine now going to make its way down to that low ground. Daishi already about halfway done with his command center at the natural. We already see a refinery being placed down as well, as the game is clearly getting underway, and Nurchio currently training up 2 queens. Now, in this Terran versus Zerg matchup, Daishi will need to figure out a way to actually deal some economic damage. So far, we've seen a refinery come into play, so it may have in store for us reactor Hellions. No, Daishi actually going into a faster third command center, and with this, he should be able to keep up in terms of the economic race. The problem is going to be the timing on Nurchio and whether or not any true harassment can come into play. If Nurchio tries to take this expansion here and does so successfully, Daishi is not going to have any real way to pressure it. Nurchio will be able to freely drone and then even establish up a very, very fast economy once more. You can see Daishi is already prepping for that reactor Hellion, as I mentioned earlier, but Nurchio is going to... Oh, okay. Apparently, Bly lost to Live Zerg 0-2 in this tournament as well. What Nurchio is showing is that he's actually content on running on 2 bases. And if Nurchio is content on running on 2 bases, we should perhaps be going into a Roach Warren in just a moment. And the Roach Warren will be the perfect answer to those Hellions that may be coming in around the corner. Alright, no, what is this? Nurchio now already doing a very, very quick tech to tier 2, going to layer already. You can now see the Roach Warren is being placed down. There is enough queens to really handle all of those Hellions, as the Hellions will just now start making their way out. Triple barracks also coming into play. It looks like the follow-up play off of these reactor Hellions will be a starport and then metavacs. Another question to wonder is how many Hellions that we will see from Daishi, as we are also going into Double Engineering Bay. Double Engineering Bay really tells us how far along Daishi wants to go down this biotech path. One tech lab, double reactors. He's going to be very, very marine heavy in his composition, as there are already 2 Hellions on the map, with 2 more now making their way out. Harvester count 51 to 34. But the additional help of another mule will give Daishi about an even economic control at this stage. So far, Zergling's now trying to run away. It does not look like this one Zergling will be able to make it back home, as the Hellions are just wrestling away a bit of map control. Nurchio sitting at 53 drones compared to 37 SCVs. Hellions going to slip their way up and now pretty much just try and check if there is an expansion down on the bottom left. They are not going to be able to do that exactly, as the expansion just now starts, and Nurchio is in good position with a very, very heavy worker advantage and the option of whether or not to transfer any drones down to this third base. The Hellions quickly spot that the hatchery is already being placed down, and knowing that there's not much damage that those Hellions can do, are now just simply returning home. Here is that follow-up play. Starport now being added. Factory already being lifted off. We should see siege tanks and siege tech being started, with a liftoff and landing on that reactor here for medevacs. The roaches wrestling away that map control once more, able to slip and push out against all of these Hellions, and now even more Hellion, or even more roaches here, challenging the double Xel'Naga tower. 2 Xel'Naga towers, and these roaches are pretty much handling and keeping Daishi pretty much sitting inside his base. Harvester count is looking all right at this point. Daishi is sitting at 49 compared to 67. Daishi now wants to try to lift off and land here at the top right-hand side of the map. Little does he know that Nurchio is already 1 step ahead of him, spewing that creep, making sure that no landing will be possible. So far, more Marines still making another move out here. You can see a large number of Marines, still no Vikings, now training up of medevacs and also getting that all-important siege tech, as 1 Viking will be joining the heirs shortly. Alright, Overlord is going to get shot down. It will take a bit of time for all of this creep to recede though, and Nurchio sitting on a 78 to 54 worker advantage, still with a stronger economy, clearly getting 700 resources more than his opponent, even though we still have mules. No, mules now called down. You can see a little bit of a jump there. Harvester count 82 drones compared to 55, and this might be one of those games where Nurchio is able to hit 200 supply at that 14-minute mark. Double expansions coming in from Nurchio, 1 at the sparse mineral patch here at the center of the map, another at the 7 o'clock position on the map, as well as it looks as though a Viking is on the hunt and will be able to shoot down a couple easy overlords. This overlord will get shot down, as we now see a Marine drop now trying to come into position as well. Is it going to work? The roaches are going to get taken down one at a time. It looks as though the roaches are going to be able to deal a lot of damage. No marauders in that group, as the queen was able to still stay alive. Viking on the hunt. Will it find what it's looking for? It looks like it will be able to find another overlord here in just a moment. And this 1 Viking, if it's able to get off 3 to 4 kills, may actually put Nurchio in a weird predicament. Nurchio needs to be very, very careful about these overlords. If these overlords all get shot down, then that will pretty much be the end, or just pretty much supply block him, as Nurchio is now sitting at 140 over 192, trying to get ahead in that overlord count. So far, 4 overlords have been taken down. You can see 9 units lost, a little bit higher in terms of the resources lost there, as Daishi has evened up the count just a little bit, as now another Marine drop happening in the back. Roaches and Zerglings able to clean that up with little to no effort. More Marines now being dropped down. Are these workers going to get any kills? So far, only 1 worker killed, as the Marines once again jump back up inside that medevac. Nurchio sitting at 163. You can see Nurchio sitting on almost 2,200 resources and is pretty much taking care of all of this. The Viking now jumping back into the air, looking for more overlords. I don't believe he will be able to spot anymore, as this medevac harassment is pretty much coming to a screeching halt. Daishi now 20 supply down, and also very, very much behind in terms of overall economy and tech. You can see a large group of Marines now making their way out. 2-2 upgrades, maybe the saving grace on these Marines. The Marines able to take down one of these roaches very easily and continuing to roll out. Siege tanks need to find good position, but there's going to be a really strong flank now coming in. Daishi, is he going to be able to perhaps repair this one bunker in time? Infestors now simply pushing their way in. Are there enough units here as the siege tanks, SCVs, is it going to be enough here? SCVs now battling it up. Siege tanks perhaps should be going after the infestors. A large battle happening here inside at the natural expansion. More Zerglings still trying to run in. Both sides, infested Terrans, and Daishi going to be losing 2 siege tanks rather quickly. Mass infested Terrans. Meanwhile, siege tanks not very mobile, not able to do very much at all as infestors pop out in time for a fungal growth. All right, Zerglings now making their way over. Zerglings, infestors, another round of fungal growth. No, yes, no, does not go down as infested Terrans are now popping out. More infested Terrans still pushing their way in. More Marines trying to reinforce. And who took more damage? I believe Daishi took more damage here as Nurtio sitting at 110 versus 86 supply. More infested Terrans finishing it up. 2 more siege tanks left as the Queens are now doing another push in. Is it going to be enough? Queen does get taken down. Zerglings now trying to swarm in. They will be able to do exactly that. Roaches reinforce. And all we have is Daishi sitting at an 87 supply versus Nurtio's 121. 60 drones compared to 24 SCVs. A horrible, horrible economic loss for Daishi. Daishi now calling in more and more mules. Is it going to be enough? Marines now trying to attack every which way possible and trying to hit in different locations. If perhaps Nurtio loses this base, it will even things up. That will be another hatchery gone and lost at this point. And is it going to happen in time? The medevac now trying to heal up some of these Marines. Looks like some damage is being dealt. Splash damage taking down some of its own Marines here as Zerglings going after Queens. The Queens, one Queen does get taken down. The second Queen staying alive. The Marines not finishing the job, not finishing off the hatchery as the hatchery stays alive at 160 hit points. Daishi down to 67, now up to 71 supply. More siege tanks need to be added here in a very defensive posture. Mules are trying to strip mine this top right-hand side income. Still looking about even though there's a 30 resource difference. Another unit taken down there as the infestors and Zerglings may try to crawl up once again. Siege tanks covering this entrance, but I believe Nurtio is smart enough to not even try to go up that door. As the siege tanks now making their way forward. All right, here we have it. Are these units going to perhaps try to slip by off over here? 1 siege tank here would be a very, very smart call. 2 siege tanks would be better, but then you would leave your front door completely wide open. 1 siege tank, 2 siege tank. That should be enough if these infestors try to push over there at the 3rd. And now Nurtio perhaps smelling something of a trap decides to back off. More siege tanks being added. Daishi needs to get this siege tank sieged up. Another round of units gonna get taken down as we now see changelings making their way up the ramp. Are these Marines gonna be able to scout anything? Or it looks like they are going to be able to do exactly all the scouting that they want, spotting multiple siege tanks at the front door. This siege tank, is it going to come online in time? There you go, Zerglings, Marines. These Marines are not engaging whatsoever. There's the infested Terrans. Splash damage now going to be coming in as well. There's so much infested Terran damage, and now down goes some siege tanks. Infested Terrans pushing over Daishi. Daishi down to 89 supply. SCVs trying to run back inside their main base, not even bothering to get attacked over there at the 3rd. And with this, Zerglings will be able to crash in at the 3rd base as well. Daishi losing all of his siege tanks and perhaps losing any hope of getting even in this game. Nurtio says next time, don't mess with me. All right, so Nurtio loses. Daishi loses this game. Nurtio perhaps just taunting the fact that he has this pretty much in the bag already. Daishi agreeing all right and says you won this time. There's the GG, there's the GL as Daishi loses this game here to Nurtio. 3 Terran versus Zergs, 3 Zerg victories. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.